before we get started, I think Greg got it wrong. This isn't an award for Todd Mcfarlane. This is an award for a book. And the book has been going for 27 years.
Yeah!
And it's been going, but it's come on the backs of many, many, many people's hard work, right? And without those great people, one of the great sort of joys I've had in those 27 years of having to be a creator myself and having creative freedom is I also had the freedom to be able to choose who I wanted to work on my book. There isn't a single person who worked on my book that I didn't approve of. Actually, I got to hand select them. And it was one of the great joys of my life to be able to go after people that I was a fan of, or I knew that they were a great peer or they did better than me. So I'm going to bring some of those, if you will indulge me, up to the stage because each one of them along the way had a part in it. Before we let me just give you a couple of names of people who are absent, who deserve a lot of credit. Number one, Danny Mickey, an inker who did a great job. Brian Haberlin colored and edited and did some writing, some books. He's not here, he's overseas right now. And then a young gentleman jumped on the book from issue 201 and did a run from 201 all the way to 250. Shimon Kudranski did 50 issues in a row, right, non-stop, right? And the only person who did that, obviously, is one of the people I'll be bringing up here. I don't know if is Tom Mordekowski here? Tom, he was here earlier in the show. Tom Mordekowski, let me just say, ladies and gentlemen, he's not here. I wish he was. Tom Mordekowski is the letterer of the book. A very unheralded part of every comic book. They're at the end of the line, and they're the one that basically have to make up everybody's time. It's a thankless job. Tom Mordekowski came on the book on issue number 1. He happened to be in 1985 the guy who inked or lettered the very first book I ever did in 1985. So, and he did all those great X-Men books that I grew up with, and I went, man, if I ever do my own book, I want Tom Mordekowski to letter. He created that logo that you guys are so familiar with. That's Tom Mordekowski's hand. Tom Mordekowski started with issue number 1. He's still the letterer. He is still the letterer. He has lettered every single book minus 1 when we were doing bi-weeklies. He gave that to his wife. So when we get next month at 302, Tom Mordekowski will have done 301 issues of lettering, which will also be a record in and of itself. So I'd like to thank Tom, like I said, which is a thankless job for all of you. Let me bring out, like I said, it's a great pleasure of mine to see if I can bring up some great people up here. Great, first off, Greg Capullo, we'll come back upstage. Where's Greg Capullo? That Greg draws the definitive Spawn, not me. I think he defines Spawn. And when I actually go back and I draw it, I'm actually following his trail. Without him coming on board doing 80 plus issues of the book and then giving you that look in 300, that last page where he says, I am Spawn, right? I knew when I had that story, there's only one guy that was going to be able to pull it off. It wasn't going to be me. And so I am eternally grateful to this man for basically putting this. So again, it doesn't mean how I bring them up is how I love them, whatever else. I've got, right here, I got Jonathan Galapian. Jonathan Galapian did a bunch of work on great stuff, and in that deadline of 300 and 301, he is a godsend right here. So this man basically pulled my fire out of the my bacon out of the fire. So Jonathan Galapian, come on up. I appreciate it. There was this young man when we started Image Comic Books, and I was a super admirer of him, but I couldn't really tell him because you never want the people that are younger to know that you actually think they're better than you, right? It's not a good thing because they'll always ask for a raise, right? So, but Jim Lee started his studio, and they had this kid, J. Scott Campbell, and I could just see from the moment I saw his stuff that he had a look in there, and when he jumped on board 300, it was to not only do a cover, but I go, come on, you got to do some pages. And he hadn't done any pages for a long time. And I had to sort of see if I could get him to get 8. And he got so enthusiastic, he phoned me up one day and goes, can I take it to 9 so I could do a 2-page spread? So J. Scott Campbell coming on board, appreciate it. Now he's not going to like it, and because it's going to make him old maybe, but I used to collect the books of this next man coming up here, and to me, I was less impressed at times about the perfect superhero comic books as I was about people who tried to do something different. And when I saw his work, and I saw some of the stuff he did, and especially he did this Batman Spectacular or something, and I saw that story, I just went, oh my God, I have another piece of a recipe on how to do capes and do mood and whatever else. And he hasn't stopped innovating his artwork. Mr. Bill Sienkiewicz, every now and then you're going out and you got to, look, it takes a lot of people to get it across the finish line. You have to find talent. And you have to find them sometimes if you can't afford, or they're on the X-Men or whatever, you have to find young, good talent. And the young, good talent, you have to hope that you're finding diamonds in the rough, right? And so I had the great pleasure to find this young kid early and give him some work, and then and I've had a handful of these kids that all of a sudden you step back and you see them 10 years later and you go, wow, you are magnificent, and you way surpassed anything that I could ever sort of think that I could even do myself. So Mr. Clayton Crane, who's been with me for I forgot, Angel Medina did a hell of a run for me too, right? I was very proud of the first 150, 200 issues of Spawn that you could count on one hand the number of artists that were on that book. Todd, Greg, Angel, we were almost at 150 with 3 of us, right? I never liked books when I was growing up that always changed every 3 issues. They bugged me, right? And so I was always looking for steady hands to come on. And so the current artist on the book, maybe that he wasn't built for that and hadn't been doing it per se, wasn't known for that, but I just gave him a pep talk and said, hey, I want you to see if you can sort of climb this mountain of monthlies. I know it's not fun. Let me tell you, monthlies are not fun. Every one of these people will tell you it can be a grind at some point. But he took the challenge and sort of took my book into a look that I needed to morph into that will be way closer to what that movie will look like, right? And so this is Jason Sean Alexander, the current star on the book. Scott Snyder is supposed to show up a little bit later, but he came in and pitched in. Look, I didn't get to write all of the book. He came in and did some great stuff, so you also need help. So Scott Snyder might show up, and we'll get him up here. The last 2 gentlemen up here that I have my partner at Image Comic Books. Without Image Comic Book, then none of this exists. None of this exists. Our newest partner right here, the publisher that has helped to foster all the 70 books that we now currently do. Forget Spawn. All the current books, and I hope that some of you in here will bring some of your books to us so we can do even more. I've got right here Eric Stevenson, who's been a godsend again in terms of being a guiding light to all of what we do for the new generation of image creators. So thank you to Eric Stevenson. Last but not least, but you know, again, dear to my heart, like Greg, who gave me so much of his life, I don't know if you guys know, and I've told the story off and on, when we flew from the West Coast to the East Coast, that fateful day that we were going to go upstairs to Marvel and say, we quit. Nothing you can do. We're quit. We're not making any demands. You just quit. We're going to go on. We're going to move. When we got on that plane, there's 4 of us in Image Comics, 4. There's Rob Liefeld, Eric Larson, and myself. We've been talking nonstop for months, right? So we had months of thinking about what we were going to do, how we were going to create this thing. And Rob Liefeld early in the game said, can I bring Jim Valentino on? Cool, the more the merrier. That was the 4. We land in New York City. We were less than 24 hours from going up to that fateful meeting with 4 of us. And then, as I tell people my entire life, you just need dumb luck to happen in your life to be successful to a certain point. You have to hit these forks in the road. And the fork in that 24 hours happened twice. I was in New York, there was an auction going on. I was just biding my time that day. And I walk into the auction, I sit back, and I'm sitting there, and there's a young man named Jim Lee sitting there. Now, Jim Lee is rocking it with X-Men at that point. Jim Lee, I'm a good salesman, and I turn to him, and he goes, what are you in New York for, Todd? And I give it to him. And I sell him hard. And I know he's doing at that point, the best-selling book and the most popular characters in the company. But I knew if we could get him, then this message would be louder, because it was like the rebels were going, but one of the guys that supposedly would never leave was going to be there. And Jim phones me back about 2-3 hours later and says, it sounds exciting, I'm going to come. Can I bring Will Spertasci with me? 4 became 5, became 6. And I go, wow, my heart's pounding, because I go, we're charging into this meeting on Monday morning, and we're going. And as I'm walking through the lobby, just as I'm gonna hit the elevator button to go upstairs, to go to bed, to get ready for the 8 o'clock meeting, Mark Silvestri is standing right there. And so, Mark Silvestri is sitting right here. Come on up, Mark Silvestri. Mark Silvestri, it must have been about 11:30 at night.
Oh, it's hammer.
It was hammer. And he goes, Todd, what are you doing here? And I sold him as hard as I could, just like
that was hammered.
And so he's going, wow, after about a half an hour, he went, good. When do I have to make my decision? It's midnight now. When do I have to make my decision? I go, we're going up at 8. I need your answer by 7 in the morning. And he says, so I've got to decide whether I'm going to shift my entire career as I sleep tonight. And the answer was yes. Now, I don't know how he got there, but the golden moment was 7. So, it was the best, look, dude, it was the best drunk decision you ever made instead of getting a tattoo. So at 7 in the morning, he phones me and says, I'm in. And we become the 7. And that day, Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld and myself, along with my wife and my little baby, we go up, and that's the day that image, in my mind, begins, 1991. And so he represents to me why we're even standing here. Is that I any of us on our own. We could never leave one at a time. They had been doing it for decades. Jack Kirby, and they took advantage of it. And Neil Adams and Gil Kane, they all came one at a time. It was too easy to replace one. And to me, I knew we had to do it as a group. And it was only as a group that it was going to make an impact. Because one person quitting, that's been happening every week of comic books. We need to do it as a team. And that same team has led me to today. This team here, amongst dozens of other colorists and other people who helped me along the way, to get this record. And here's what the record is. Let's just be clear what the record is, because people sometimes use the wrong word. It is not the longest running independent comic book. I disavow the word independent, because corporations can own independent companies. It is the longest runner, creator-owned comic book. And that's important to me, because that means that the person who started the idea is still in charge of that idea. And you didn't have to make any concessions. Good people up here. At any time to do anything, it's my prerogative. I have to ask no permission. When people say to me, how did you get this book as far as you did? I've been doing a lot of interviews. How did you do it so far? It was easy, ladies and gentlemen. I don't even feel like I'm even catching my breath at this point. I'm still got a lot, because I deal with so many things in my life with corporations and with lawyers and with people that at the end of the day, the creative breath of fresh air for me is my book. And I don't have to ask anybody's permission. I get to turn to Spawn, this book, and I get to go, I don't have to get approval from anybody on this planet other than me. And it's good for my personal soul. This is just how I'm wired. I need this Spawn book in my life. So 301 may seem like a long thing for you, but if I didn't have it for those 27 years, I probably would be crazy at this point. I need some sanity, and Spawn is my sanity. And these good people up here took a part of their life to help me keep my sanity, and I am thankful to all of them. So this award, and that was a long preamble, this award is built on the backs of all these people, so I want this to be a team award. Yeah.
Thank you. Again, my name is Claire Elise Stevens. I'm an official adjudicator for Guinness World Records. I'd like to thank New York Comic Con, Image Comics, and the entire Spawn team for inviting me here today. I'm incredibly honored to be presenting such an impressive achievement, especially at an event where works and the creators are celebrated with such enthusiasm by their fans. At Guinness World Records, one of our most cherished values is passion. As I reviewed hundreds of issues of Spawn, in fact, the entire catalog, reviewing this record, the passion from Todd Mcfarlane and his team was very apparent as I did so. Yeah! I've seen many world records broken, and they come in many different types. Some take seconds, minutes, days, or weeks, but what has been achieved here has been nearly 3 decades in the making. Another one of our key values is inclusiveness. With Spawn, Todd and his team have shown that heroes and anti-heroes come in all shapes and sizes, and by co-founding Image Comics, have enabled a new generation of creators to share their stories with the world. At Guinness World Records, we also recognize success, not in a limited way. So today we are recognizing what is unique about Spawn and all the titles under Image Comics, that they are in fact creator-owned. Today we recognize the years of work and persistence that have entertained and inspired fans since Spawn #1 in 1992. After extensive research and review of this record, I can officially affirm at 27 years and 301 issues that Todd McFarlane's Spawn holds the official Guinness World Records title for longest running, creator-owned superhero comic book series. Congratulations, you are officially
So what I will do is give them an early gift. In 3 days, the record you will be able to buy. The record book, 301 you will be able to buy. But since I have an inside track and all of that, I actually have a handful of those record-setting books sitting right here. And so it will be, as I see these great gentlemen off the stage, it will be my pleasure, again in no particular order, to give them their book. Hopefully if they did the cover, I'm going to give it to them, but they will get their book with their cover for the very, very first time. So I would like to start with the guy who took us up over the hill, Mr. Greg Capullo. This is the first issue. the guy I looked up to for a lot of years before I basically got to call him a friend and a peer, Mr. Bill Sienkiewicz. Mr. Bill Sienkiewicz. There you go. Thank you, Bill. Where's Jerome Pena? Somebody said he's here. Is he here? Jerome, come on, jeez, I missed Jerome. Jerome Pena is up here. I forgot Jerome and all of that. Jerome Pena, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to show you a little bit later, but if you haven't seen the cover to 300, take a look at it and take a look at 301, because between those two covers, he's essentially showed you a tease of what's about to come in Spawn for the next 100 issues, right? The tsunami of characters is coming, that we officially at 301 are starting, quote unquote, the Spawn verse, and it's going to be coming in a big way, and he's basically just going to tease you with some of those right there. So Mr. Jerome Pena, thank you for coming on board. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I've been signing a lot of your books too. They like the cover. We've got a cover here from a guy, not only did he do 300, but he did 301, Mr. J. Scott Campbell. And the young kid who I'm so proud of turned into a hell of an artist as he grew up, just like Greg. When I picked him, look, if people said, did you ever know Greg was going to be that good? No. I knew he was going to be really good. I didn't know he was going to be great. And he turned out to be great. You never know when you're drafting Hall of Famers, and he turned into a Hall of Famer. And he's humble, too. So, that's it. So this goes to Clayton Crane. Clayton, there's Clayton's book right there. There you go, thank you. And Clayton does a chapter in that book for me, too. I've got, like I said, Jonathan Glapian came in and just saved me at the end there, so I'm going to give him my cover to 301. So he'll get the first book with my cover that's in there. I appreciate it. Thank you. And then I've got another book here for Mark. It's got your name in it because you're in the credits there. I've got a Virgin Scott Campbell cover for Eric Stevenson. There you go. Did I miss anybody? No, I didn't miss anybody. You know what? Thank you for your award. I'm going to give you something. You gave me something. This cool trade. This is Alex Ross's cover. So you guys know Alex Ross going to cover for me on issue 100. And he was obligated. 200 issues later, he's still doing his thing, and he said, sure, I'll jump on the machine, Todd. So I'll trade you that, you trade me that, and we'll get to our panel. Here we go. Everybody bring up your books. Hold up your books. Hold up your books. I want to see all the books in one shot. And you people in the back, you're not even going to be able to see those comic books. What are you talking about? You think your camera's that good? It's not that good. All right, everybody, thank you. One last applause.